On today's episode of Cigarreel, Season 2, we're going to talk about what's the best cigars in the world, and that's on today's episode of Cigarreel. Good day, y'all. Welcome to Cigarreel Season 2. I am Mike, and today's episode, we're going to talk about what are the best cigars in the world on today's episode. Before we start into that, I am smoking the Asylum 13 70x7. You all know out there from Season 1, the Asylum 13 is my favorite #1 cigar. That's my go-to cigar. I smoke that cigar more than any other cigar that I smoke. I like the quality, I like the construction, I like the flavor, I like everything about the cigar. It gives you about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours of relaxation, and you should all try an Asylum 13 70x7 today. Now, make sure you hit that thumbs up, make sure you hit that share, follow, and like, and make sure you hit my Cash App, which is $cigarreelmm. Now, in today's episode, we're talking about what is the best cigars in the world. This is kind of my opinion. I gathered sources from around the internet, around the world, from people I've been talking to, and I came up with this list. And when we come back, we're going to go down that list, but I'll tell you this, the first one on the list, I bet you can't guess. I bet you can't guess what is on the first cigar on that list. I'll give you this, it's rare. They only produce so many per year, and it's a very limited edition. And I'll tell you what that is when we come back. This is Cigarreel. Welcome back to Cigarreel. I am Mike. That question I asked before the break, what do you think the #1 cigar in the world is on my list from cigars around the world? I'll give you 5 seconds to comment that down below. That cigar is Fuente Opus X, Arturo Fuente Opus X. The Fuente Opus X is a stronger cigar. Cigar lovers travel far distances and score around the internet in clock in search of the Opus X. Opus X is rare. So many retailers get so many boxes for a good reason. It's a legendary cigar maker. Fuente debuted the Opus X in 1995. It's been around since 1995. Have spent years perfecting a blend of premium Dominican binder, filler, and wrapper grown on the Fuente family estates. It's a full body profile of leather, cedar, nutmeg, and a nugget layers of palate with signature Fuente spices and dozens of classic and collectible shapes. I'm not going to run through all of the shapes, but the Opus X, oh my goodness, if you ever smoked an Opus X, you will love them. They're not always easy to find, as I mentioned before, because they only mass produce so many and then they're done. And it's one of the best cigars ever smoked around the world. #2 is the Aston ESG. Never smoked an Aston ESG, but it's a sun-grown. It's drawn from an exclusive blend of very rare Dominican tobacconists. It's authentic, puro, like the Fuente Opus X, meaning the binder, filler, and wrapper come from one country. The medium to full body profile of the Aston ESG is savory and complex with notes of cedar, graham cracker, black pepper, and coffee with cream. Interesting note profile. Every leaf is aged for optimal flavor in its 5 shapes. No cigar is better represented of the Dominican Republic's reputation for growing the world's finest tobacco. Any cigar aficionado knows that's a true statement. No search for the best cigars in the world is complete without smoking an Ashton cigar. Number 3 is My Father La Habana 1922. It is strong and spicy. It has a rating of 97 points and #1 cigar of the year, titled the Cigar Aficionado way back in 2015. Wow, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's a thick and shiny Cuban seed wrapper leaf grown in Escador, conceals premier Nicaraguan binder and filler tobacco, and they grow them themselves. Its big and savory taste reveals notes of, here we go again, leather, dark chocolate, mesquite, and a hearty dose of spices are apparent from the second the cigar hits your lips. The box press torpedo won over critics with the cigar when the cigar came out. Whatever size you try to smoke it on a full stomach because it's a full body cigar. So that cigar is My Father La Habana 1922 full body. Make sure you smoke it on a full stomach. And when we come back, we're going to tackle more from the list. This is Mike. This is Cigarreel. Welcome back to Cigarreel. I am Mike. Make sure you hit that Cashapp $cigarreelmm. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. And now we're going to tackle the last cigar from cigars around the world. What do you think that last cigar is on my list, our list? I give you 5 seconds to think of it and see if you're right. Did you think of it? Well, it's going to be the Montesino #2 Cuban. That's right, the Montesino #2 Cuban. We don't sell Cuban cigars due to the trade embargo with the US, which I'll talk more about that in an upcoming video. And generally, we question the consistency of Cuban cigars. I don't. All the Cuban cigars I've smoked have been really, really phenomenal. However, that doesn't change that the cigar lovers around the globe and around the world seek out Cuban cigars because I like them. I do like Cuban cigars. While the Cabana brand, especially the Beca, gets plenty of attention, insiders will regularly argue that Monte Cristo #2 is the greatest Cuban you'll come across. Like all Cuban cigars, they can be widely inconsistent, which I disagree. The ones I've had have been very consistent. But the good ones show the palate with a creamy, rich, and crusty zest that connoisseurs can't ignore. Those are flavors that I agree, you cannot ignore. You can spend a good amount to get a legit cigar that isn't a counterfeit. I've never had a counterfeit Cuban. If I have, it all tastes good to me. And it can be at your disposal if you go over to Cuba, or you can get them in the States. But that is going to be my top list, the Montesino #2. So running down this list of what's the best cigars in the world, as I mentioned, the Opus X, the Ashton ESG, My Father La Habana 1922, the La Roma de Cuba, the Padron 80th year, and the Montesino #2. So that was the list, my list, our list of what's the best cigars in the world. And when we come back, more on Cigarreel. This is season 2. Welcome back to Cigarreel. I just want to say thank you for watching this episode of what's the best cigars in the world. This is Cigarreel. I just want to make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, share, follow, and like. Make sure you hit my Cashapp, which is $cigarreelmm. And I just want to say thank you for spending your time today in this episode of what's the best cigars in the world. I am Mike. This is Cigarreel, and I'll catch you in the next episode.